Yeah, can we start?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Gargi, Venith, can all of you turn off your mic? Whenever you want to speak, you can turn on and you can speak. Okay, we will not know, no? Like so many people are here, so the noise is very much disturbing. So please always maintain that mic is turned off, and whenever, whatever you want to speak, you can turn on and you can speak. Okay, so today we will be talking about any doubts from previous sessions. Positivism is done, non-positivism is done, sociology as science is done. Then one topic which is left out is fact, value, objectivity. From that the question will be asked is related to problem of objectivity, value, neutrality. So fact, value, objectivity. So we talk about value, we talk about objectivity, we cover that topic today. So if you have any doubt in the previous session, we can discuss.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Tell me.
Sir, I read in the book that epistemological anarchism. I could understand that it means that extra stress on science. Extra stress on science. But is my understanding correct or not? You have to verify that.
Epistemology, somebody was also asking last time. See, epistemology is all about, it is related to knowledge. It is connected to knowledge. It can be.
Yes, sir.
Study of knowledge.
Yeah, it is study of knowledge.
It was used as a critic for positivism, epistemological anarchism.
But I am
And
not able to.
hermeneutic.
Which one? Pardon?
Double hermeneutics.
Hermeneutics is all about interpretation. That is related to non-positivism. Hermeneutics is a direct criticism of positivism, because it is all about interpretation, and positivism ignore interpretation, no? Like internal aspects and everything. So that is a direct criticism. But I didn't understood that word epistemological anarchism. I will see to it. We will discuss tomorrow. Somebody was also asking before also about the same thing, same or something related to epistemology. It is a study of knowledge, but yeah.
What I could understand with this term is that the extra stress on positive method, like everybody is just running after science. It is not that there is apart from science, other body of knowledge or subjects also exist. I could understand with this, I could relate it to this thing, epistemological anarchism.
Yeah. Maybe correct. I will refer to that. Anyway, it is a study of knowledge. So, see, some people consider true knowledge is science. Maybe related to that is what you are using that word anarchism. So, people who consider true knowledge is only science, related to that, maybe that particular word is used, epistemological anarchism. But I don't know exactly. We will see. I'll see that and I'll explain next session.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Anything else from the previous discussion? Positivism, non-positivism. Are you okay with non-positivism? When you read the PDF, have you understood or still doubt is there? Because yesterday some
Yes,
of you
sir.
had some issues yesterday. So can we start today's session?
So in chapter 2, first session is science. Sociology as a science we have completed.
Yes.
But scientific methods and critique, have we completed that also?
Science, scientific method and its critique. Okay, so the topic is like that. So in that, what we have done is, the main discussion is sociology is a science or not. That we have completed. Now various scientific methods will be there in sociology, will be used in sociology, that we are going to study in thinkers. Okay, for example, when we talk about Durkheim, he is giving certain scientific methods to study social facts. That is what study of sociology according to Durkheim. So he will be talking about indirect experiment, multivariate analysis, etc. So those methods are considered as scientific methods. Similarly, Weber also talking about certain methods like Verstehen. If you remember, yesterday also we have made the reference to Verstehen. Comparative analysis, causal pluralism, causal probabilism. So these methods is what we can write under that if the question is about the scientific methods which are used in sociology. And we will be studying all these methods under the banner of thinkers. So here, this is a general topic, no? So science, scientific method and critics. So what all scientific method you can say? Why unnecessarily we are talking here when we are going to take up the same discussion in Durkheim and Weber? So I am basically following that integrated approach.
Okay, sir. And even the second with major theoretical strands and of research methodology, that also?
Now, major theoretical strands means, let me tell you, see, major theoretical strands means already you discussed two, right? Positivism and non-positivism. So you know about this now already? Any doubt here?
Yes, sir.
So this we know. And the second one is related to, micro versus macro discussion. So these are, then the third one, functional versus conflict perspective. Okay, these are the different, and then you can say the discussion on inductive versus deductive. And then we can say like quantitative versus qualitative. And then we can put also in this way scientific versus humanistic. And whatever is known to you, you can write as the theoretical strands in sociology. They have asked major theoretical strands. So if you feel that these are the major theoretical strands like positivism, micro, macro, functional, conflict, even if you're writing this three, it is fine. But what I'm saying is, again, I'm saying that once you complete the thinkers, you will get complete idea about this. So already you know something about micro, macro, that Weber is using micro, and initial sociologists like Durkheim, Comte, Spencer were using macro, and to an extent Marx also using macro. And this is connected to positivism, micro connected to non-positivism. Then in thinkers we will study functional perspective and conflict perspective. Inductive, deductive we have already discussed, but we will understand more when it comes to the thinkers. Similarly, quantitative, qualitative, I'm going to discuss this tomorrow. Quantitative, qualitative, one separate session is there for tomorrow. Okay, now this functional, I'm going to spend around 1 week, entire week for Durkheim and Parson, etc. for explaining this concept. And when we discuss about Marx, another 1 week for this perspective. So is there any point in we separately discussing the thing that we are going to discuss in future now? You may feel it difficult also at this point of time, and you will not be able to connect it at this point of time. So it is always better these topics which we can do after completing the thinkers. It will be very easy for you, so that you don't want to prepare this separately. Now if I am teaching you, I can tell you the basic postulates of functionalism, basic postulates of conflict perspective, and you need to mug it up. But once we know Marx, conflict perspective is done. Once we're done with Durkheim, automatically this is done. So don't you think that's a better approach?
Yeah, sir, right.
So that is why
I was searching this on YouTube and I was unable to find.
I didn't do that, and YouTube only only few videos are uploaded. I will
and my app is also not yet updated.
Yeah, your app, what is the problem? Some of you, I am not able to get you in the app because iOS is not ready now. So if you are using iOS, I'm not able to add you at this point of time, but I'll make sure that 1 week or 2 weeks I'll get it done. iOS also I'll get it done. Others, I don't know why 2-3 people who were registered, I don't know why I'm not able to register their name. But I think what about others? All others, I have registered. And you are able to see the videos?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
I have not checked yet.
Okay. So most of the people I have accepted, around 30 people, close to 30, I have 30 in this batch, another batch, around 60-70 people are already there accepted, but 3 or 4 people only not able to. I don't know why this is happening. Firstly, because this iOS is not supporting, and secondly, I don't know this reason. Only 3-4 people I'm unable to add. That we will see what we can do. So all the videos will be now shared over there. I'll take some time to do that. Some backend work is required, but just give me some time. We will update everything. All the PDF, so that chapter wise PDF and topic wise PDF I can give you over there. That's the idea. Okay, so can we? So Divya, I hope you understood about the logic why I'm not doing it now.
Yes, sir. Right.
Okay. So can
that will be okay.
Yeah. Can
sir,
we?
I have a question.
Tell me, Asif.
Sir, is there anything that we are not we have not yet completed in interpretative method? Something remain? Something remain?
No, interpretive method as such is not asked in syllabus.
Much more in the next, in the coming lectures.
Weber is the main interpretive sociologist. So Weber, we need to discuss about Weber's methodology. There we are going to talk about interpretive sociology. So how Weber is studying various theories, it's all about interpretation, the Protestant ethic and spirit of capitalism, rationality, bureaucracy, all authority, all these are based on his interpretive approach only.
So because the positivist approach also uses interpretative method. Okay. So in 2014 the question came that in what ways interpretative method is different from positivist approach in the study of social phenomena. So
no, actually, Asif, let me tell you one thing. What you are saying is interpretative approach. That is the approach of Weber. Yes, that is a method. And then what I said yesterday in positivism also, what is there is interpretation. Interpretation of a phenomena is there in all subjects. It is in science, it is in non-positivism, it is in positivism. Everywhere you have to interpret a phenomena, but the way you interpret the phenomena is different. In positivism, you can do through the charts. Okay, like if you see in the share markets, the charts are like this, right? So you will go for the technical analysis and all those things you can say. Like I can say this is a support point, this is a resistance point. So I can make a clear-cut understanding that the share prices are coming here and it will get the support and it will go up. It will not go down. Like I can make a conclusion, and if it break this support, then it can fall also. Similarly, there is a resistance point here. It will go up and it will come down because there is a resistance here. But if you break the resistance, it can go up like anything. So this kind of conclusions I can make in positivism or quantitative methods. It's dealing with numbers. This is also interpretation only. So interpretation and interpretive approach is different. Interpretative sociology is different. Okay, there is a deviation from positivism to interpretive sociology of Weber.
In terms of subject matter, no.
In terms of subject matter, yes. Yes.
Also, both are using objective method. Only the subject matter is different. They are, objective reality and the subjective reality.
Yes, exactly, and that is what you need to explain, and you need to explain.
This is the only difference I can see in the positivist and interpretative approach. Okay?
And that is the main difference.
For 20 marks, this question comes within 20 marks. So what all other points we can add, that micro, macro, okay?
Yes.
And subjective approach.
Tell me what is that question? I'll tell you how to write. What can you give me that exact question?
Interpretative method.
Once more. I didn't get.
In what way interpretative method is different from positivist approach in the study of social phenomena?
Okay. 20 mark, right?
Yeah, 20 mark at 2014.
Yeah, so you need to write around 300 words here.
Maybe.
Yeah, so what you will do, you will start with an introduction. Okay, you know what to write in introduction. You start with emergence of sociology and what initial sociologists do. So their orientation towards science, and then because of that they followed a positivist approach. And then you talk about the basic elements of positivism, and you explain empiricism, inductivism, naturalism, etc. And then you talk about the criticism of positivism, and that led to interpretive sociology. Okay, and then you talk about interpretive sociology of Weber and Mead, and then you say it is further developed in terms of phenomenology, ethnomethodology, and then while you conclude, you also have to say the postmodern approach. This is how the question to be answered. Don't see the question in isolation. You cannot answer, everything is connected. The question, you see here, you are talking about this part. So you are thinking that I need to focus on this part only and I need to talk about this part in 20 marker. No, this have to be seen, holistic way. So you have to start from the beginning, and you also have to talk about postmodern approach. So this is how your answer should look like. Any sociologist who's going to talk about interpretive sociology will write about positivism and also will write about post-positivism.
So why we are talking about phenomenology and ethnomethodology? Because these are the pure non-positivist method, and we are talking about interpretative method, which is something in between the positivist and non-positivist. Why we are talking about these two methods?
Yes, because we need, in between means from positivism there is a deviation to non-positivism, and that deviation is because of this interpretive approach. So interpretive approach is not that significant. It actually shows that deviation to the non-positivism. So this is actually considered, it is in between. So without positivism, interpretation is not there. Without non-positivism also, interpretation is not there. Interpretive, okay, in that
I can say that the journey from the positivist approach to non-positive approach, it led by the interpretative method. Okay, so the pure objective method comes to phenomenology or ethnomethodology. The reason or the cause is because the interpretative method, right?
In phenomenology and ethnomethodology, there is no concept of objectivity.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm saying that the journey from the positivist approach to non-positivist approach. Okay.
Yes.
In between there is a bridge gap that is fulfilled by the interpretative method.
Yes,
right?
That is their role actually.
So why we are talking about when we are talking about phenomenology and ethnomethodology, we are saying that interpretative method is the only reason or is the only cause. That there is a deviance from the positivist to non-positivist, right?
No. We are not saying anything like that. And never ever you can use these words only, must, should, never, etc. in sociological, writing. If you are using these words, these strong tones you can never use in sociology answers. So firstly that thing, and it is not only because of interpretation. It is a standard deviation over a period of time. Different approaches are coming. So there is first deviation is considering that internal aspects is important, and then deviated in terms of subject matter and in terms of understanding level also. So everything has to be seen as a package in sociology. Nothing is in isolation. Even positivism also won't stand in isolation. If the question is about positivism, still you have to talk about this. If the question is about pure non-positivism, still you have to talk about positivism and its criticism and interpretation, and then non-positivism. That is how you need to write this answer. I am saying what to write in exam to score. If it is a debate, you can only stick on to interpretation. But you ask me what to write in exam, so this is actually the structure of your answer.
So for this question, we will start from introduction and then we will come.
Yes, you have to.
Conclusion.
Even post non-positivism also you have to mention.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
See, it's like this only. If still you are confused, so there is a positivism. Okay, positivism, and then non-positivism. So this is a basic.
I don't have any confusion between this positivism,
so, okay.
non-positivism.
But basically, positivism and non-positivism. In positivism, there are further division. Non-positivism, that is interpretation, and then you can see pure non-positivism. This is the better way to understand. It is not like in between or anything. Rather than that, even this is also considered more as non-positivism, because that is a shift. That is a shifting point. Okay, so today we will be talking about this one.
So,
yes. Tell me, Agila.
So we have interpretivist as well as symbolic interaction, right? In between.
Yeah, interpretative sociology, that is by Weber. Symbolic interactionism, we also call it as interactionist perspective. That is Mead.
So when will you discuss that, sir?
Mead, yesterday I've discussed already interactionism, and I've told you we have to discuss Mead separately. Separate thinker is there. We need to study that. So there we will discuss more in detail about Mead. But yesterday also I've told you it's all about interactions. I've told you the gestures, verbal gestures, non-verbal gestures, the way we interact it can be through verbal gestures, non-verbal gestures. It's all about interactions. So interactionist perspective we will see later in detail.
Okay.
Symbolic interactionism is the theory that you need to study. That is under Mead. So that is why we didn't give much importance, and also that is not there in your syllabus. In here the syllabus is positivism one part, then non-positivism second part. So interactionism and interpretive sociology we have discussed in between. And this interactionism and interpretive sociology we have to see in detail later when it comes to Weber and when it comes to Mead. These are two thinkers that we need to study. But non-positivism we have done and end of it. We are not going to discuss further. It's over.
Okay.
Okay. So now objectivity. Now the question is, what do you mean by objectivity? So can anyone tell me what do you mean by objectivity? So starting from emergence of sociology, we are using this word objectivity. Sociology have to maintain objectivity, objective understanding of objective reality, objective understanding of subjective reality. So we are using this word quite often. So what do you mean by this objectivity?
Then there is freedom from personal bias.
Yeah, objectivity simply means freedom from personal biases. Now, personal biases will come from where?
Science.
From mind.
Personal bias.
From values.
Personal bias comes from various values. Okay, so objectivity means freedom from personal bias. That means when you are conducting any study, when you are conducting any investigation, there should not be any personal bias. For example, I've told you this example many times. A woman who's conducting study on domestic violence, there should not be any bias. Okay, so a woman conducting a study on domestic violence and a male conducting a study on domestic violence, there can be a possibility that two will come up with different understanding. It is because of the personal bias. Similarly, a Hindu and a Muslim conducting a study on particular religion can come up with different interpretation based on the religious bias. Similarly, a Brahmin and a Kshatriya or a Brahmin and a Dalit can come up with different understanding based on their bias. Okay, so these are the factors which will create bias, and that will obviously compromise objectivity. So what you need to do to be objective, you need to be free from all these biases. Now how can you be free from all these biases? These personal biases are coming from different values. What do you mean by value? I've already told this. Values means to what or to which thing we give importance. It's all about our importance or our preference, or what we consider superior, or what we desire, what is the desirability. So all these are our value. For example, a particular religion is considered important, okay, or a particular caste is considered important, a particular caste is preferred, a particular caste is considered superior, a particular caste is considered desirable. So this is what value. Or particular gender, if you talk about a patriarchal value. So what do you mean by patriarchal value? In that case, who's considered important? The male is considered important. Who's preferred? Male is preferred. Who's superior? Male is superior. And who's desirable? Male child is desirable. So you got it. The values means it is all about the ideas that we carry in our mind. Based on that ideas, we decide the importance or preference. Yeah, preconceptions. These are the values that we carry in our mind, and it is shaped by who? These values are shaped by whom? It is shaped by the family, okay, education, the culture, the society, the peer groups, okay, the profession, and a lot of influence will be there in fixing these values. And the main agent is actually family and society. So what you need to do for becoming objective? You should be value neutral. You belong to an upper class or lower class, or upper caste or lower caste, or female or male, it should not matter. You can be a Muslim or a Hindu, it should not affect your investigation. So you should be remaining value neutral. So can we then say objectivity means value neutrality? These are actually one and the same. Almost same, but there is a small difference. We will discuss about that also. So the main thing, so when we talk about objectivity, one of the important thing that you need to do to remain objective is you be value neutral. So if you remain value neutral, you can be free from personal biases. So free from personal biases. So if you are free from personal biases, then automatically objectivity will be there. So one of the means to achieve objectivity is value neutrality. Okay, so one of the means to achieve objectivity is value neutrality, and that is a connection between objectivity and value neutrality. So value neutrality means free from personal biases. Now you see the word in syllabus: fact, value, objectivity. Okay, so I hope you understood about objectivity, you understood about value. What do you mean by fact? So if you talk about let's talk about fact and value. Let's say let's talk about joint family. Okay, let's see the facts side and the value side. So what do you mean by value? I have told you it is about desirability, it is about preference, okay, it is about importance, etc. So from the value side, we consider joint family is required, right? So because we still maintain the relation between the relatives, we talk to them, we call them, we meet them, we participate in the marriage, we go to any functions. So we, although we live separately in nuclear family, but we follow that joint family ethics. And in terms of value, if you see, there exists a joint family even though you are living separately. But what is the fact? The fact is nuclear family. The fact, if you ask me, what is that? What is seen in reality? That is nuclear family. But what is desirable? Joint family. Now you got the difference between fact and value? Understood or not? Or you need...
Sir, can you repeat once again?
Yeah, I'm saying what is the actual reality? That is what we mean by fact. Simple. What is the actual reality? If I ask you joint family or nuclear family, what is the fact? What you can see now? Mostly. It is nuclear family. So it is nuclear family is actually the fact. But the value system is all about joint family. Like we still, even though we are living in nuclear family, are we completely cut off from the relatives? No, right? So in terms of value, we can say we prefer or we consider joint family, or joint family is considered desirable because joint family will give you helping hand. It may help you in difficult times, economically, emotionally, etc. So from value side, if you see, it is about desirability and undesirability. Fact means what exactly it is. So if I ask you joint family and nuclear family, in terms of fact, we all live in nuclear family, that is true, this is the reality. But value, we all wish to live in joint family. What is fact means what is the reality? Which among this nuclear family and joint family, what is the reality in the modern society? The reality is nuclear family. Yeah, exactly. What is fact? What it is, that is fact. What ought to be, it is value mostly. Got it?
Yes.
Okay, so here we need to see fact, value, objectivity, but nobody will ask you what is fact, value, etc. The question is always, you will never see any question talking about what is fact, what is value, what is like that. The question is always objectivity, value neutrality, objectivity versus value neutrality, etc. That is how the question will be asked. That's why we are discussing that topic. So here value neutrality means it is one of the means to achieve objectivity. So if you talk about objectivity, so value neutrality is one of the means to achieve objectivity. Okay, then different other methods to ensure objectivity is proper use of methods. Okay, all these will come, or even if you are not using any values, but if the methods are not, then it is not necessary that you can conduct objective study. Okay, so there are many other things also has to be taken care if you need to be objective in terms of methods, in terms of perspectives, in terms of interpretation. All these other things also need to be taken care. But value neutrality is one of the main, and the main thing is actually value neutrality. because other things can be achieved by using methods, etc. But this one is slightly difficult to achieve. These individuals preferences is always difficult to change. Okay, so if you are studying about religion, two different people like Hindu and Muslim conducting study on religion will come up with entirely different understanding. So that will be reflected, or that study will be totally reflected by its personal bias also. Okay, so that's about objectivity and value neutrality. Now what you need to do is we need to talk about where all
total objectivity can never be achieved.
Yeah, objectivity, we won't say objectivity can never be achieved. We will say we will try to ensure objectivity. Absolute objectivity is never required in sociology, because we are dealing with human beings, so we can never study objectively. If you are dealing with science, if you are studying science is dealing with matter, so we can ensure objectivity. But in case of sociology, we are dealing with human beings, so we need objectivity is neither desirable nor possible in sociology. Not objectivity, absolute objectivity. Keep this word clearly, absolute objectivity. Whatever words that we are using, it has to be very clear. If you ask me, objectivity is not possible or desirable, yes, it is possible and it is desirable also. But absolute objectivity, that means 100% objectivity, that is not desirable and that's not possible also in sociology.
Yes, sir, because in every research there are certain viewpoints which involve subjectivity.
Yes. Empiricism, or in positivism they are stressing on objectivity, but what was the criticism that we raised? It is impossible to ensure objectivity in sociology, complete objectivity.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Even Weber also proposed certain methods like Verstehen, ideal types, etc. We will be discussing all these methods in the thinker. So he proposed for what? For the objective understanding of subjective reality. But his theories are also colored by personal biases. The way he selected ideal types are all based on personal bias. We will see that and we will discuss that. You will understand it more detail there.
Okay, sir.
So what I am saying is absolute objectivity is not possible, neither desirable. But objectivity is possible, objectivity is desirable. To an extent, it is possible. So now what we need to do is we have to take up the investigation procedure and we need to see where all you may compromise on objectivity. The first itself, the selection of topic itself. Selection of topic itself can be colored by personal bias or not. The way I am going to select the topic, I am going to study about this particular topic.
Yes, sir.
It is again totally left out to the investigator and his choice. But we won't talk about this part. Weber clearly makes it clear that after selecting the topic, then you should be objective. Okay, so we ignore this part. Even here also objectivity can be compromised. But once you selected the topic, now you are entering into the study. Okay, so the first step is accumulation of facts, right? Accumulation of facts, that means data collection. That is the first step. So here there can be bias, right? For example, if you use interview method, one of the example I am giving you, if you use interview method, the interviewer may be biased, interviewee may be biased. So interviewer will ask biased questions, interviewee will also answer the question with the personal bias only. So can we say here in the accumulation of facts itself, there can be personal bias which is involved while collecting data? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So the first step itself is actually the problem of personal bias can come. Then interpretation of data. Second step is interpretation. We are actually talking about inductive approach here. Why we are not talking about deductive approach? In deductive approach, subjectivity or objectivity, nobody questioning. They even accept the subjectivity. In inductive approach only the question of objectivity is there, no? This is the scientific method. This is the positivist approach. So in inductive approach only this question of objectivity is there. There is no question of objectivity in deductive approach. That's why we are following this step. First accumulation of facts, then interpretation. So interpretation, there can be, it again based on different perspectives or viewpoints. Okay, so for example, a functionalist. Functionalist means the thinker or the theorist who tried to see everything in functional terms. For example, crime is there. Okay, so crime will be considered as functional in society. That is the reason why crime is there. Inequality is there. Inequality is also considered as functional. That is why inequality is there, because society is maintaining all these things for the functioning of society. So functionalist means they consider everything which is there in society as functional, and they interpret in functional terms. They say it is necessarily fulfilling certain vital functions for the society, and that's why it is existing. Inequality is fulfilling certain vital functions. Crime also, certain rate of crime is normal, because that will keep a check on the policing and judicial system. Otherwise, all of a sudden something happened, then there will be a big problem. Okay, but these people, if you have a functional bias, you may try to justify even the extreme forms of inequality like manual scavenging or the rape of minors, etc. But that should not be done. That is a functional bias. So if a theorist or an investigator who is having a functionalist bias, he will try to interpret even the extreme forms of inequalities in functional terms. That is not required. That is a personal bias. That is a functional bias. You got the point? There is a difference between functionalist and a person with a functional bias. Functionalist will say crime is normal. Yes, it is normal. Suicide is normal. Yes, it is normal. And this all these things, inequality is normal, because you cannot see any society which is egalitarian. So these are normal phenomena. But if you try to justify that to that extent, like manual scavenging is required, or the rape of minor is normal, that is not accepted. So interpretation can be colored by different viewpoints. So what is the next step after interpretation? Theory building. So you are already getting the interpretation which are value loaded, right? So the theory which is formed on the basis of that will be compromising the objectivity. So for example, you can take two theories. For example, religion. Okay, there are two theorists that we are going to study. One is Karl Marx, and the other is Durkheim. So Durkheim was a functionalist. He will consider religion as integrating the people. Religion is a system of beliefs and practices, and those who follow that beliefs and practices, they will be together, and the role of religion is actually to integrate the people. Whereas Marx says religion is an exploitative agent. Because of religion only, people are going for work. Religion is an opium. Religion is actually having an opiating role. Okay, like religion is the heart of heartless world, soul of soulless condition, and just an opium of masses. So because of religion preach something like you get exploited in this world, or you suffer maximum in this world, and then you come to heaven. You will get heaven in the next world. So because of that, the workers are willing to get exploited, and the capitalist is actually using that. So it is the capitalist who created religion according to Marx. Okay, so that is entirely different understanding. That is a conflict perspective. So I am saying the same phenomena in the same material context these two people are writing, but coming up with different interpretation. So that is based on this personal bias. So we are saying in all these areas, objectivity is actually compromised. Okay?
Sir,
tell me.
Sir, in the positivist, positivism, in the process of accumulation of data, I can say that the objectivity, there is a biasness involved. Okay.
Yes.
Because in the accumulation, there is a possibility that one cannot be objective in terms of collection of data.
Yes.
Okay. But in terms of interpretation, positivists use the scientific method. Okay, like charts, like tables. Okay, so after the data, when we according to on the basis of data, when we are mapping the data on the table or graph. Okay, so according to data, okay, the data coming from the table, the highest number. I have collected some data which is according to table giving the highest number. So I am using the highest number from that table. Okay. So this is something why we are saying that in the process of interpretation, the biasness is there, because They are not using anything. They are only using the scientific method, and on that method, or on the basis of charts, on the basis of graphs, the result is coming. So why we think that in the process of interpretation, the objectivity is compromised?
See, you already the accumulation of data step is itself it is compromised. For example, if you talk about Durkheim's theory of suicide, it is a classical exhibition of quantitative techniques or statistical techniques in sociology, but he collected data from police records. Okay, so the problem is he collected data which is in terms of numbers. So you are saying when it is interpreted it will be correct, but the problem here is the data that he collected, it is only those cases which is reported in the police station, and most of the suicides are not reported only, and some of the suicides may be actual accidents, and some of the accidents may be suicides. So these cases are misrepresented. So when he collected the data itself is wrong, and based on that, whatever table or chart you're going to draw, it will definitely be wrong. I'll give you one more example. There was I give you my own example. There was a question related to direct benefit transfer in one of the mains. Okay, so what I did was I said I wanted to give a case study here. I said in a case study conducted in this village XYZ. In fact, I have written the village name as my village only, and I've just mentioned in a study conducted in this village. Okay, and I've written my village Kundugara. The name is Kundugara. It was found that out of 1,000 people asked, it was found that 834 people are in favor of DBT, or they are getting the benefit, and 166 people are not in favor. And I made the conclusion that this theory or this case study I have made in the exam hall, and this number also I have made in the exam hall, and I have purposely not written 800 200, because then it may be understood that it may be framed. But 834 if you are writing, people may believe and nobody is going to check also. So from where this is coming, it is actually from mind only it is coming. So most of the theories which are actually framed by the positivists are like this. You got it? So all these are not realities. You cannot check the reality, the interpretation, from where this interpretation came, and I proved that DBT is good over there, and that too it was in ethics. Okay.
So the interpretation, in the process of interpretation, it is not in itself the biasness in the objectivity it is the consequence which is coming from the accumulation of data. That's why there is a biasness in the earlier process in the accumulation of data. That's why there is a biasness in the interpretation of the data, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Apart from that, based on your perspective and viewpoints also, that interpretation may vary. For example, Marx will interpret in one way, Durkheim will interpret in another way. Both are positivist only. It is not necessary that you have to use tables, charts and etc. I have given you an example. In case of science, normally use graphs, tables, etc. But that is not necessary also. These people are not doing all those things. Okay,
sir.
Yeah, so we will see the PDF now. Problem of objectivity and value neutrality. Initial sociologists tried to develop sociology. Tell me.
Sir, I can't able to get the difference between objectivity and value neutrality.
You are not able to understand the difference between objectivity and value neutrality.
Yes, sir. What is the difference between objectivity and value neutrality?
See, objectivity on one side, and what I'm saying is objectivity is compromised because of personal bias. Personal bias is coming out of values. So what you need to do to remain objective, you have to be free from value. That means value neutrality. You should remain neutral with respect to value. So what I'm saying is value neutrality is essential for achieving objectivity. So value neutrality is one of the precondition for ensuring objectivity. That is a relation.
Yes, sir, it is a relation, but I want to know the difference. Both the terms of objectivity and value neutrality the same?
Not same, but it is somewhat connected. We can't actually say the difference here. We can say value neutrality is the precondition for objectivity. Because if you are value neutral completely, that doesn't mean that you can ensure objectivity. So it is not necessarily same. Both are not necessarily same. Okay, because there are other things also need to be taken into consideration for objectivity, like proper methods, proper interpretation, etc. You may conduct a study without being a Hindu or a Muslim. You may conduct a study without being a North Indian or a South Indian, or a male or a female. But if you are not using proper methods, not proper interpretation, then also objectivity can be compromised. So value neutrality alone is not enough, but value neutrality is essential for achieving objectivity, provided other conditions are also met, proper method, interpretations, etc. So the connection is, if you need to be objective, you need to be free from personal biases. That means you need to be value neutral. That is a connection you can establish. Yeah, tell me.
Okay, sir.
Somebody else also was raising the hand. Yeah, tell me. What is your name? This long.
So I wanted to say that the question that he asked was the difference between value neutrality and objectivity.
Yes.
We cannot compare this.
Yeah, actually we cannot give a difference.
Yeah, there's no difference as such. Like what I understood from the lecture was, to achieve objectivity, there has to be value neutrality. So
Yeah.
we cannot compare because they don't stand together on a line.
No, they are complementary. They are not contradictory. So we cannot give a difference.
Yes. Okay, sir.
Yeah, they are complementary. So they are not contradictory. If it is contradictory, then only we can talk about a difference. No, they are complementary because value neutrality should be achieved to ensure objectivity.
Because that objectivity is the end goal where we have to start with value neutrality.
Yes. Objectivity is the end. That is where you need to reach, and the process through which you can reach is one of the processes value neutrality. One of the means to achieve objectivity is value neutrality.
Yes.
Yeah. So can we see the PDF now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, initial sociologists tried to develop sociology on the line similar to natural sciences. Okay, so in this context, one of the most important precondition for any body of knowledge to qualify as science was objectivity and value neutrality. Okay, both have to be seen in that context. So objectivity means freedom from personal biases in sociological investigation. The personal biases flow from different types of value exist in society. Now, what is value? Value is an idea through which individuals evaluate about the desirability and undesirability or anything. So value gives importance to certain things. So value is importance. Now, value is about desirability. Value is about undesirability. Value is about superiority. It can be about inferiority. Okay, it is about preferability. It is about rejection. All these are the values. Okay, then can you tell me what is the difference between value and morality? Okay, no, that's not required in this context. So value, morality, ethics, that is different context. One second, I'm not able to erase this. Okay, so there are large number of values like religion, inequalities, which may create biases. So Hindu, Muslim, upper class, lower class, okay, upper caste, lower caste, women, men, okay, all this will result into, personal biases. So even if you see history, 1857 revolt itself, if you study, you will see different interpretation. If the English is writing, they will say that it's a clash between civilization and barbarianism. So they consider Indians as barbaric and English as civilized. And when Indians are writing, you will say that you will see that it's the first national war of independence. Both are biased. It's neither first war nor national. There was no concept of nationalism was there. So that is also based on personal bias of that author. He is not a professional historian. And if you see Majumdar and all, these are professional historians, they interpret in a better way. Okay, so what you need to do, you don't want to be an Indian or English, you don't want to be an upper caste or lower caste, you should not be a North Indian or a South Indian or male or a female. You have to interpret based on the facts. So this is how you need to interpret. No value, no personal biases, no preconceptions in your, I'm talking generally about your answer writing also. Okay, so in your answer writing also you need to remain objective. Okay, so the value neutrality, okay, it is there. The value neutrality is a basic precondition for achieving objectivity. Since its emergence as a distinct discipline, sociology is often accused of facing the problem of objectivity. The critics of sociology asserted that or argued that objectivity is not possible in sociology. The problem occurs at various levels in sociological research. First of all, accumulation of fact. Although sociology uses a number of scientific methods like observation, questionnaires, interview, etc., but in the application of these methods, the value biases of the researcher may hinder the achievement of objectivity. For example, the observation method is often accused of generating faulty information due to the bias of the observer. And there is a very famous study, the study of Italian criminal by William White. He was a non-participant observer, and finally stopped acting as an observer, generating no information. And he stated that I started as a non-participant observer but ended as a participant non-observer. So he basically, this is actually the bias of that investigator, no? So he started as a non-participant observer, but ultimately he stopped observing and studying and he joined them, right? So that shows the bias. Okay, in the same manner, the interview method may generate faulty information because of the bias of the interviewers, the person who is asking the question, and the person who is going to give you the answers. Interpretation of facts. The interpretation of facts can also be colored by various viewpoint or subjective biases. For example, a researcher with a functional bias may tend to interpret some extreme forms of inequalities in functional terms. I've told you this point already. Formulation of theories. Now already you are getting value-loaded interpretation. So value-loaded interpretation of facts may generate theories which gives only one-sided view of the reality. Thus, the resulting theories is influenced by the bias of the investigator. For example, Durkheim generated a functional theory of religion, whereas Marx considered religion as opium of masses. Both were writing in the same material context present in the 19th century. In this way, the problem of objectivity influences sociological investigation. Now what we are going to say is what are the steps you can take to ensure objectivity. And mostly these things we will study in different thinkers, what Durkheim proposed to ensure objectivity, what Weber proposed to ensure objectivity, but here we will discuss some of them. A glimpse of that is what I am going to discuss here. So various steps have been suggested in due course of time with time to help sociology to achieve objectivity. This include objectivity can be ensured by proper training of the investigator. That's the first thing and the most important thing. The investigator should confine himself to his own area of competence and should be properly trained to use the methods. For example, Weber considered training as an essential prerequisite for ensuring value freedom. Secondly, objectivity can be ensured by making available results of the investigation to organized skepticism. This will help you reduce the biases. This will help to reduce the biases of the investigator. Organized skepticism means like within a peer group, okay? So person X will conduct a study and A, B, C, D, these are the academicians. They are part of, these people are known to each other, or otherwise also in a group, this person will conduct a research and he will come and he will present the research. So they will raise some objections, they will give them viewpoints, etc. That's what organized skepticism. We won't use the word criticism here, skepticism, because this is actually going to enrich the knowledge of that person and also the understanding of this person. You got the point? Okay, so that is one of the method in which you can ensure objectivity, organized skepticism of the results of the study which is conducted. Then, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So,
Sir, please explain. Sir, can you please explain organized skepticism in?
organized skepticism means, for example, I conduct a study on any, let's say, alcoholism or domestic violence. Okay, so I conducted a study and I will come and present it to you in front of you. So each one of you will add some point to it, and I can incorporate those points in my study. So various viewpoints could be added. That means it won't be only based on my personal bias. Himanshu.
Got it, sir.
Okay. So next, sociology has attempted to deal with the problem of objectivity by propagating various concepts which helps in ensuring objectivity. Since its inception, sociology has formulated scientific methods to be used in sociology, and you will see examples. You don't worry about these examples because Durkheim we are going to study, okay, and then Weber we are going to study. All these method of ideal type, causal pluralism, causal probabilism, Verstehen, okay, has been suggested to ensure objectivity in sociology. So social facts, statistical techniques, multivariate analysis, all these I will teach you, specific sessions I will take for all these. So all these are in fact potential 10 markers. Okay, they can simply independently ask you social fact, this can be asked, multivariate analysis can be asked, ideal types can be asked, causal pluralism can be asked, Verstehen, all these are independent 10 markers. Okay, so some sociologists even went to an extent of suggesting that sociology should refrain from studying what ought to be, instead should consider studying what it is. What do you mean by that? If you study what it is, then you can to an extent ensure objectivity. If you try to go for prediction and if you are trying to explain what ought to be, what it should be, then there is a possibility of subjectivity. So that's it. There is no need to have any doubt here. It's a very simple topic, and if you get this question, exactly the same content is what you don't want to add anything more from here. Whatever required, I've given you the examples, I've discussed with the thinkers also. So you just need to understand this concept, and you can also supplement from the discussion of thinkers. Once you're done with thinkers, you will automatically be strong in these first 3 chapters also. Initially, you may face some problem in the first 3 chapters. You're just starting, and these 3 chapters are slightly difficult also. Later it will not be there. Once we're done with thinkers, all these will be again cakewalk, because we are everywhere we are going to talk about objectivity, value neutrality, scientific methods, etc. Yeah. Anything else?
Sir, I have a question. Sir, as we have completed this particular topic, problems of objectivity and value neutrality, okay, we have enough content to write a particular answer, okay, but if the question comes like value neutrality in social science, okay, so what could be the possible structure, answers structure? Can you please explain, like, what could be the possible structure of the answer?
Actually, you cannot answer that at this stage. If the question is about value neutrality in social science, or you need to be done with thinkers. For example, because you can talk about a lot of examples. You need to explain what is objectivity. What the maximum you can do now is you can talk about what is objectivity. You can talk about what is value neutrality and from where values are coming. And then application in social sciences is what you need to say. Okay, so for that you need to use the concepts used by Weber and the theories of Weber and the theories of Durkheim, and ultimately you will say that in social science there is obvious limitations. Even though Durkheim theory of suicide is considered as a classical exhibition of use of scientific methods in sociology, but still it is facing a lot of criticism in terms of the choice of the data collection, etc. So objectivity is actually compromised over there. Okay, I'm just saying 1 or 2 words. You don't want to worry about that. Again, when it comes to Weber, his theories are again colored by personal biases. You will see that in the theory. So that should be your conclusion. The complete objectivity, and finally you will say that absolute objectivity is neither desirable nor possible in sociology, but sociologists over a period of time devised methods which will help to ensure maximum possible objectivity in sociology.
So even though the question comes on a particular topic like value neutrality, we have to mention objectivity also, because the value
Yes. Objectivity, value neutrality is the means to objectivity. Without objectivity, there is no question of value neutrality.
Like I'm saying, objectivity is a goal. So we have to follow a path to reach that goal is the value neutrality. This is something.
Yes. Objectivity is the end. Value neutrality is the one of the means to achieve that end.
So even though the question is only about the value neutrality, we have to mention objectivity, and we have to establish a relation between the objectivity and value neutrality, and then we conclude, right?
Yes. Why? Because why we are discussing about value neutrality? It is only because of the discussion of objectivity we are discussing value neutrality. If there is no question of objectivity, there is no question of value neutrality only.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so you need to understand what is the root cause. So why this particular thing is asked? It is asked because of objectivity. So even though explicitly in the question objectivity is not there, your entire discussion will be revolving around objectivity only.
So answer of a particular question is not restricted to a particular topic also.
Never restricted in sociology.
We have to have a holistic understanding of the particular.
Yes. And if somebody is saying you have to write specific to that, it's never possible in sociology. It's not natural science. If Newton's third law is asked, you need to write the third law. You cannot write anything else. But that is not the case in sociology.
Sir,
Okay.
there was a question in 2016. What is value-free sociology? Clarify. So, what will be the structure of this question? Answer.
Which one? Value-free
Sociology.
No, I didn't get it.
Okay, sir. I am typing in message.
Yeah, no, tell me. I can hear you. Now I can hear you.
Sir, what is value-free sociology? So, it was yes, sir.
Value-free sociology means value neutrality. It is objectivity.
So, it was 10 markers. So, what will be the structure of answer of this question?
I think you have already given mains before.
Yes, sir. In 2016, I did.
Yeah, so you know about ideal types and you know about Weber's theory and everything.
Yes, sir.
So you can write from there also. Even Weber, so for others you may face it difficult. Even Weber is also talking about objectivity and value neutrality and all those things. And Weber is the main person who's talking about value neutrality. But if you remember the study of Protestant ethic and spirit of capitalism, can you say he is value neutral? No, right?
No,
the Protestant ethic ideal type he selected, it is completely based on his values, and the conclusion was in his mind even before he take up the analysis. Similarly, when he conducted the study of Indian religion, Hindu religion, he actually took different values of Hinduism to suit his conclusion, because he wanted to prove capitalism did not arise in India because of Hinduism, right? So that is what value-free sociology means. We talk about Weber and you can give those examples. Value-free sociology means remain value neutral. There should not be any personal bias.
Sir, so I have to quote the examples from Weber only or some other?
No. Better will be always talk about Weber, because Weber is the person who is extensively talking about value neutrality, and he proposed the method of Westerham to achieve this objective. But the method of Westerham itself is comprehending, and it can be the most value-loaded interpretation or value-loaded method. And Weber himself never used this method also. So you can talk about Weber. You can also talk about Durkheim. You need to talk about. See, this answer could be solved with examples mainly. Otherwise, content-wise, if you see, you have very limited content to write. What is value? What do you mean by value freedom? What is value neutrality? And ensuring objectivity. What are the steps? All those steps also you can write. These are the steps in which value can be affected or the personal biases can come. And then you can talk about the solutions or suggestions like a trained investigator and all. but you need to talk about the examples.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And examples means by saying that in sociology there are obvious limitations. That is what you are going to tell by using the examples. And ultimately you conclude that absolute objectivity is neither desirable nor possible in sociology, as values may come. And to later stage, Weber also accepted that a sociologist can be objective even by incorporating value. That is a second level understanding that we will discuss in Weber, and that was also asked as a question before. That means being by incorporating your value also you can be objective according to Weber. That is next level understanding. We will see that in Weber.
Okay, sir.
Sir, if a question comes from a particular topic, like any topic, and it is asking to answer the question keeping sociological perspective in view. So, how many aspects we have to cover to answer this question, like sociological perspective, like family, religion, the effects on the family system or the inequality, something, how many aspects we have to cover?
Once we will complete the syllabus, we will automatically be in a position to write sociological perspective. Otherwise, how to make sociological perspective? Simple. What all things? Now, if you start writing answers, you can focus on, when you're writing anything, you bring this point micro, macro. This level of discussion has to be there. Then you talk about, functional and conflict dimension. What is the functions? What is the dysfunctions? So at least this two you can bring now. Later we will talk about, impact on family, impact on religion, impact on culture, impact on society, or impact on age, impact on child. All these aspects we can, rural, urban differences, all these things we can bring. All these are, but main sociological perspective means this.
Okay, sir.
You can also talk at the level of fact, value. All these are sociological perspective. If you just put these words in between, automatically it becomes sociological answer.
Sir, according to Weber, that objectivity is possible when researcher is well trained and knows how to utilize neutralize the values. So, how can an individual neutralize the values?
See, a proper training has to be given to the individual, so everybody will conduct the investigation in a somewhat similar and predictable way.
So, how can an individual neutralize the values, sir?
No, individual neutralize the value means be value neutral means if you are from a particular religion, you should not think about that religion when you are conducting a study. You should see as a neutral person. That's what. Don't have an influence of the religion, or don't have an influence.
Objectivity is never possible, no, sir.
Are you saying there will be definitely an influence of religion, caste, etc.?
So there might be some.
There might be. That's what. Maximum possible objectivity is what you need to ensure.
Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, maximum possible. So by training the investigator, what are you training? You are training him not to use these values in the sociological research, etc. That's the main training that he's talking about, and training in some methods.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Tell me.
Sir, as in the conclusion, you are saying that to attain the objectivity, it is necessary to study what it is rather than what ought to be. Then in sociology, human studies humans, then how it is possible to differentiate the facts from the values?
No. What I was saying in the conclusion that some sociologists even went to the extent of saying that sociologists, that is one suggestion. We are not saying that sociologists should not study what ought to be. Sociologists should confine to study what it is rather than what ought to be. That is one suggestion.
Then sir, my question is that that in sociology, humans are studied as the human, then how it is possible to differentiate the fact from the value?
No, I didn't get you. Once more.
Sir, my question is that humans are studied as the human in sociology. Then
humans
how
Yes.
Then
yes.
How it is possible to differentiate the fact from the value?
No, yeah, humans are studying the humans, so still you should remain value neutral. You need to be value neutral. You need to see things in an objective way. That's what I'm saying. All the sociologists and initial positivists and everybody is saying the same thing. There should not be any religious or caste or any bias should not be there. Personal bias should be completely, preconceptions should be ignored while conducting the study.
Okay, sir.
Ensure the objectivity. Obviously, institution, human beings. So there is a possibility of bias, and bias can come. That also we are accepting. What we can through some proper methods, proper training. For example, if the questionnaire consists of yes or no, there is a possibility that you can limit the values, because you will be getting yes or no answers. Then values will be less here. Are you subjected to domestic violence? Then yes or no, that's fine.
Okay,
These
sir.
are different methods. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So please, can you define the difference between functionality and functional once again?
Functionality and functional.
Yes, the difference between functionality and functional.
One is a perspective. When we talk about functionalism, it is a perspective. Functional is perspective. Functionality means to what extent one social institution providing a function. Like what is if you see function of family, that is what functionality means. Functionalism means it's a perspective, seeing family in a functional terms. I can see family as an exploitative mechanism also. That is conflict perspective. So Marx will say family is an exploitative device. Because of family only you are going to the workplace and you are getting exploited. So family is the agent of exploitation. Family is created by the capitalist to get the workers and the laborers. So understanding family in that way, that is conflict perspective. But if you try to identify the functions of family, that is functionalism, functionalist perspective. And in functionalist perspective, we will try to identify the functions of family. That means the functionality.
Okay, sir. Can you elaborate a little more?
What do you want to know in this more?
Actually, I'm not getting the meaning of functionality. I understood that functional means it's a perspective. But what does functionality symbolize?
From where, which context you are asking this?
Interpretation of facts.
No, interpretation of facts. Did I talk?
You gave, yes, you used these terms in between while you were discussing the interpretation of facts.
I think it was functional bias.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was functional bias, but in between you use these two terms, functional and functionality.
No. Functionality I have not used. I've used functional bias. When I'm saying functionalism, it is a perspective of seeing things in a functional way. Functional bias means extreme functional.
Functional, what is functional way?
Functional means the functions, like family is providing. Let's suppose when we talk about family, what are the functions of family? Like economic security, that is one function. Emotional security, that is another function. Sexual gratification, that is another function. Taking care of child is a function. Taking care of aged is a function. So you're trying to see family in functional terms on the basis of the functions performed by family. This is functional perspective.
Okay, and what is functionality?
Functionality means the functions which are performed. But functionality as such we never use in sociology. What I have told you is functional bias. That in which context I have told is, I told that crime is considered functional in society. Okay, so the functionalist will say crime to a certain extent it is normal. But if you try to justify the extreme forms of crime, okay, like the rape of minors, etc., that is because of the bias that you have. You are a functional bias. Yeah.
Who are these functionals? Investigators.
Huh?
Who are these functionals in the society?
No, functionalist these are sociologists. The sociologists who are using the functional perspective are functionalists. For example, Durkheim was a functionalist. Parson was a functionalist. Davis and Moore, these are the people that we are going to study in future. Who are functionalists and what is their perspective, what are their studies, everything we will study in the future. Functionalist means those sociologists who's trying to see everything in functional terms.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Anything else?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, tell me, Ajay.
Who are idealists, sir? Or they are non-positivists?
Which one? Pardon?
Who are idealists, sir? Idealist.
Idealist, not important. Idealist are those people who slightly deviated or who started saying that ideas are more important. Like they are not part of sociology, like Hegel. Hegelian speculative philosophy. When we discuss about Marx, we'll talk about this concept again. Idealist means they basically show a deviation from studying external reality, positivism, etc. But we borrowed from idealists. Weber and all actually borrowed the concept of idea from idealists. Idealists are the people who are saying ideas are the most important aspects. Ideas are generating social change. So if you need to study the reality, you have to study the ideas. So ideas are internal aspects. So that was actually developed by interpretive sociologists and interactionists, and then further by non-positivists.
Is that related to non-positivists?
Yeah, it is actually related to non-positivists, but these people are not considered as sociologists.
Influenced.
Yeah, influence. The influence of Hegel's work there, and I have written in that way only. During that time, influence of Hegel, Rickert, etc., resulted into emergence of new perspective. That's how I've written.
Yes. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
Sir?
Tell me.
Suppose if you want to distinguish between fact, value and objectivity, then we could say like this, right? Fact will directly lead to objectivity.
Yeah, okay.
Values will have bias, so absolute objectivity is not possible. Then what are facts according to sociology?
Simple terms, what it is, that is fact. What it is. What is a reality? That is a fact. Objectivity means freedom from personal biases and values. So that is how you need to make the connection.
Okay.
You cannot make any connection with fact, objectivity, etc. That's not required. Objectivity means it's what is the fact. Saying fact is objectivity. But in that context, values may affect also. So that you need to explain.
Sir, can you please repeat the sentence?
What it is, that is the fact. Like
you said something, right? Objectivity is saying something about fact.
Objectivity, when I am saying objectivity, you are stating the fact.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Can we stop here?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Good night, sir. Bye, sir.